Hello and good morning, everybody. Welcome, Gareth. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you, Mr. Keeves.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to this Concise webinar. This is about trust building. My name is Richard Keeves, and you also just heard the dulcet tones of Gareth Lane. This is one of our Concise webinars, and Concise webinars are intended to be 100% educational. We try to keep the, we don't waffle too much. And we also, these are not about sales pitches, this is about information you can use, so welcome. We are recording this session, and it will be available on YouTube a little later. And also on our Concise website blog. Anyway, let's rip into this. This is all about trust and trust building. And the interesting thing about trust is it all has to happen very, very quickly, especially online. In fact, you actually don't build trust quickly, but you can lose trust very, very quickly. And one of the things that we suggest is to get somebody independent of your business to give your homepage and other landing pages that are used what we call the 3-second test. What do people see in the first 3 seconds? What do they think? How do they feel? Do they think that they're at a place that is trustworthy and trustable? So the big questions that people ask are typically the questions that people ask when they're visiting a new website. Am I in the right place, and do I want to stay here? And you'll observe probably from your analytics, if you look at the bounce rates, that a lot of people don't stay very long. In fact, a lot of websites have a bounce rate of maybe 40% to 70%. Bounce rate being the rate at which people arrive and then leave without doing anything else. Now, they may get what they came for. Maybe they came to get your phone number, and that was all they wanted to do. And they got their phone number, and all of that was great. So the bounce rate of itself is not necessarily a bad thing. But when you have people who visit your website and then bugger off without doing anything else, without engaging with you in any way, you then have to say, well, what's going on here? Why is this happening? And there's some questions to ask. Does the site look okay? Is the content relevant to what people thought they were going to be getting? Does it look secure? And the big question as well is, does the business look real? What makes a business look real? Phone numbers, contact addresses, the physical street addresses, positive ratings and reviews, information that looks like the business has been around for a while, well established, and is run by real people. It's very easy to break trust. It's very difficult to build it. Make sure that your landing pages, whether that's your home page or whatever pages people are coming into, are as good as they can be in building that trust and not destroying that trust on first visit. Check your analytics. Don't assume, a little tip there in the bottom left corner, don't assume that people come in through your homepage. Any page can be the landing page for that particular visitor, especially when the pages are in Google. People can come across any page at all, and that when they click on it and come into your site, that is the landing page for them. So look at your analytics. You can actually see where people are coming into your site, how long they're staying, where they're going afterwards, and what they're doing in your site. And there's some very powerful information that's available. Gareth, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I would. And one thing to really make a note of is a lot of people, when they do their website design or they do their optimization work on their website, they always look at their homepage, and quite often they miss things like unique selling points or key specials or promos on other pages like product pages, blogs, category pages, those sorts of things. So as Richard said, it's really worth you looking in your analytics to see what the top 5 or top 10 website landing pages are, and make sure that all of your unique selling points and phone numbers, contact, positive ratings, reviews, etc. appear on all of those pages, not just the home page. It's a pretty common mistake.
It's interesting about ratings and reviews. We did a webinar probably a few months ago now with Trustpilot, which is one of the big review engines. And one of the things that came out of that is that from their studies, a rating of 4.9 is actually more credible than a rating of 5. So if you're thinking, oh my God, my ratings are only for, with reviews and any star ratings, my ratings aren't perfect. It's only 4 point something. I'd really love it to be 5 because that'd be excellent. No, actually, something less than perfect is far more credible and believable. And 4.9 is better than 5. It's an interesting thing. Okay, let's push on. So another factor that is really important to trust building, and also to how Google sees you and your authority, which is also important, is did the page and the site load quickly, and how long do people have to wait to see it? And when it loaded, is it usable? How quickly is it usable? There's an interesting thing. There's this kind of load, there's actual load time, and there's also perceived load time. In other words, how slow does your site appear to be? How, in terms of what people are seeing. For example, if you can get your page above, on the first screen, we call that above the fold. So when you scroll down below the first screen, that's going below the fold. So in the world of websites, above the first screen, the bottom of the first screen is we call that above the fold. So if you can get all of the elements loading above the fold very, very quickly, it doesn't really matter that other stuff is loading on pages on that people would see when they scroll down, because they haven't scrolled down yet. But if the information above the fold takes a long time to load, then people get frustrated and they leave. So there's this idea of you can have a page loading in its entirety, but people don't know that there's a lot more to load because what they're seeing has loaded really quickly. And there's a really useful tool. Gareth's going to give you a quick look at it, called Google Page Speed Insights. And you can check your own site, and you can see how your site renders, loads on mobile devices and also on desktop. Gareth, you're going to, there we go. Good on you.
Cool. There you go. So yeah, the Google Page Speed Insights, it is a little bit subjective. I would definitely make the comment that don't hold gospel to it, because it can be quite time consuming and therefore fairly costly to tick all of the boxes. However, it does give you a really good sort of overall summary of pain points and things to improve. So I've got a couple of examples on the screen just to illustrate a point. So I've started off with Google's own website. Given this is a Google product, I thought I'd try their own site, and it gives you a mobile and a desktop version. So it'll give you a score out of 100, and so Google has scored 85 for its mobile website and 99 for its desktop website. So you would say that, if you got a score of 85, you're doing pretty well, given Google's own homepage, who created the test, only got 85. So don't think you have to get 100 when Google themselves can't even get 100 on their own website. So keep that in mind. I've then also had a look at pretty well-known website in Australia, Bunnings, and we've got mobile desktop again. Mobile dismal 5, desktop pretty low 15. So a lot of people would be jumping up and down saying, well, that's terrible, we really need to improve it. I'm sure Bunnings has 100 of me sitting in their digital marketing department who know about this, and they've probably made an educated decision that for their website, for the type of customers that they have, they're not going to be too worried about the Google Page Speed Insights. People are still going to go to Bunnings, they're still going to use their website, so long as it's usable. But it is an interesting point. I then tried Shopify. They're somewhat in the middle. Shopify's own website, they get a 44 on mobile and they get a 96 on desktop. So given Shopify e-commerce mobile is really important, you would think that they would do better than 44. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, if these are the major international mega companies and these are the scores that they've got, then don't beat yourself up too much if your scores not in the green. Green's obviously good, and in the perfect world with unlimited budgets, ticking green and getting 100% on mobile, 100% on desktop would be great. Where things sort of come into it a bit more is you start going into a bit more detail about what it is that needs to be improved. And some of this is pretty technical. It's not really very easy to follow if you don't know what it all means. A lot of it is a nerd talk, or coders or developers or system admins type people. But there are a few sort of key information sometimes that you'll see. One of the things that you can easily do yourself is images. So if it says on here somewhere something about images, defer images, or I think that one was better, properly size images, and you click the little drop down, it'll give you a little list of the images that you could improve. So this is an easy one to do yourself, and just resize the images. So I won't go into all the detail. I'll pass back to Richard, who will explain a bit more.
One of the biggest issues, thanks, Gareth. One of the biggest issues is images, and that's one of the things that website owners can often get wrong the most. The images may well be optimized for the web by the web company who built the website, because they know that images need to be, for example, less than 100K, or whatever the requirement might be. But when somebody who's a website owner, or the business owner, or a person working for the business owner wants to upload some new images to the website, they often just load it up without thinking about it. Or they think that WordPress is, if they're using a WordPress site, is going to compress the image itself automatically. It doesn't do a very good job of that. So just before we move on, the metrics that Gareth just ran through are usability metrics. There's 4 key ones, of which 3 are here. And this is about load speed. This is about the input delay and the layout shift. So we won't get too much into that, but it's really important to notice that, or to note that Google gave us in the digital world information about 6 months ago, maybe 9 months ago, about these metrics, and said, start looking at these now, because in 2021, we, Google, are going to make those things ranking factors, and that if you have a website that is slow to load in terms of its usability, we are going to rank those pages lower than pages that are fast to load. So next year, it is going to become a ranking factor. Now that makes a huge difference, or could make a huge difference, to lots of businesses and how they are doing their SEO work. So that's just a point to remember, and Bunnings may pay a bit more attention next year if they start to lose some of the rankings. Website appearance. This is another thing to think about in terms of trust building. Display trust seals, accreditations, awards, and ratings. Be careful of the fonts you choose. We just talked about the quality of images and the size of images, but a lot of websites have stock photos. People recognize stock photos, so you're better off to try and have unique photos. You don't have to spend a lot of money to take them, but it's always better that the images that are in the prime spots on your website are not just ones that you've bought from some iStock or something like that. Better to use good images, real images, authentic images if you can, and make sure that you're using the various metadata to describe those. In terms of trust building, about images, one of the really good things you can do is to create a gallery that shows off your work, whether you're a bitumen driveway manufacturer who's going to have photos of what the bitumen drives that they have put down, or if you're a roofing painter, then show examples of the roofs that you've painted. If you're a renderer, show examples of what you've done. It opens itself really up for tradies in that respect. But anybody really, anybody who's got photos that they can show about the work that they've done in the past, it really helps build trust. There's some other points there about making sure people can search easily and that the search results are formatted for good usability. All of these things help build trust. The other thing that's really important is content. Making sure that the content on your website is accurate, error-free, not stale and old, but is up to date. A lot of people try to overhype their content, and it just reads like sales BS to a lot of the times. So you're far better off to be authentic, to be credible, make sure that the content is believable, and that it reinforces the benefits that you give to customers and why they should buy from you. This is about trust building, and content is so important. The point that we made earlier about making sure people can contact you is about being real, and it's about making sure that people know that your business is real. The phone numbers in headers, there was something that we actually recommend as a standard good practice. People say, well, why would I want to put my phone number at the top of every page? It's on our contact page. Yeah, it is on the contact page, but if someone wants to come and look at your website and wants to phone you, then make it really easy for them to do it and make it a click to call phone number. But it's not just about whether people actually want to call you. Just knowing that they can call you is often enough to build that trust and overcome a barrier that says, I wonder if this person's real. I wonder if this person's easy to talk to if I need to. If I have a problem, it's one thing to buy, it's another thing to get sales support after the fact. And if I've got a problem, I want to be able to talk to someone. And so it really make sure that you are easily contactable. The point about Google Maps, Google does give credit for you having a physical address on your website. That helps build your authority. And it builds, not only that, it helps build your trustworthiness in the eyes of customers. Include a Google map on your contact page if you've got a business that has its own location. If you're purely selling online, it can be difficult to include a Google map, but try to find something that you can include a Google map about that is relevant to you. It's really important that your site always appears that it's going to be open for business. Website chat is something that is also super important. A lot of people use Messenger these days, Facebook Messenger as a live chat tool, and it doesn't have to be live. It's a mechanism for chatting. It's really good. It's free. A lot of people use Facebook. I would argue most people these days do. But the website chat that goes along with it, be careful about automating things, because automated chatbots can destroy trust very quickly. Having the capacity for people to interact with you in a chat mechanism is something that can definitely build trust, and having it available there helps build trust. We talk a lot about proof, and you've probably heard this term, social proof. Comments from third parties are far more believable than comments you make yourself about yourself. And so make sure that you include comments as much as you can from other people about you, preferably good ones. Testimonials, reviews, these are evidence that you've done good things for other people, and chances are you can do good things for this customer, given the chance. If you've got customers that are well known, you can include their logos if that's suitable. Obviously, if it's not, don't do it. But you can include logos of your customers. You can include logos of partners. If you've got partners who help you deliver services, or whose services you deliver through them or with them, then include those. We refer to that as credibility by association. So you build credibility because people already know and trust this other name, and as a result of that, they're more likely to want to trust you. You've got to do these, not got to, but it's smart to do whatever you can to build trust. And these are some of the points to take on board. Security is really, really important. The site needs to be secure. It needs to look secure. The first part of that is standard now on it should be standard. It's not quite standard on every website, but on every good website is site-wide SSL encryption using a valid current SSL certificate. SSL stands for Secure Sockets Layer, and it is the mechanism by which the communication between someone's browser and the server is encrypted, and so it is more secure than an unencrypted site. Google gives ranking value for SSL encrypted pages and sites, and more importantly, Google and users now get information or a message in their browser if they see if they're onto a website that's not secure. It actually comes up certainly in Google, in Chrome and other browsers, it says not secure, and people just jump out. If you're using a website tool like WordPress, then be really careful to make sure that you keep your software versions up to date. It's easy to get behind with WordPress, and that's when people can, or hackers and malware can enter into your server, enter into your website, and also can infect other people who visit you. So keep the software versions up to date. It's not a big deal to do, but it's really important to do. It's been a quick rip through about trust building in our Concise webinar. In summary, the key here is, and a lot of people, like, it's one of those obvious things, but a lot of people kind of miss it, and that is never promise what you can't deliver. Just because it might sound good, don't make a promise that you're going to do it. Make realistic promises and always, always, always deliver on your promises. So that brings us to the end of today's session. Really happy to take Q&A now. If anyone's got any questions on anything we've covered today, or anything you would have liked to have covered today, we've got some info that we can send you after this session as well to help you run through some of these points as a bit of a checklist. So let us know if you'd like that. But if there's any questions, Gareth, do you have anything you want to add?
Trying to come back on. No, the only thing I think I always say when we're talking sites is always think about the customer. You know, put your hat on as a customer and go through your website as if you're a customer and for the first time. Because I think a lot of business owners are so close to their websites and they look at it all day, and you know they can easily miss things that you know, a customer would notice. So doing a little secret shopper every now and then, get a friend who's never used your website to do a secret shopper, go through and see what their comments are and how they use it, and you know what stands out to them. You know, it's you can do all these, you know, what you should do and technical things and so on, but you know, at the end of the day, just use your website as if you're a customer and see how they would interact with it.
Yeah. Yes, and it's very good. Yeah, no, it's a really good point. You can do that yourself, but it's always good to get somebody who's objective and honest to be able to tell you some things that you may not see yourself. There's this concept in the retail shops, and it applies to websites as well. It's called store blindness. When you see something every day, you become blind to it, and you just kind of walk past it. You know, if you're working in a messy office, and that's just how things are, someone else walks in and they see a messy office, you say, oh, that's just how it is. Or there's a bit of paper on the floor, or there's a thing on the wall that shouldn't be there. People become blind to it. And it's the same with websites, that it's really important to listen to feedback from people who are looking at your website for the first time, or who look at websites all the time and who can give you the truth, or give you their perspective. Whether it's the truth or not, it's their perspective and it's what they see. Okay, there are a number of people here, but we don't seem to have any questions. So if in the absence of any questions, then we'll wrap up. Thank you very much for attending. This has been another Concise webinar. If you'd like any more help or info on this, or even if you've got a question, whether it's any question, please get in touch. By the way, one thing I'll probably mention is that for all the people who attend our webinars, we happily give a free half-hour consulting session about any questions that you've got. No obligation, no nothing. So if you've taken the time to spend with us on the webinar, we're happy to help you with any questions that come up. So if anything does come up for you, and you've been a participant in the webinar as a live participant, then please feel free to get in touch anytime with either Gareth or myself, or any one of us. And again, no strings attached. We're just happy to help. Okay, everybody. Thank you very much. Gareth, you got anything you want to add?
No, that's it. I think time for a coffee.
All right, time for a coffee. Thanks very much, everybody. Have a great day. Thank you.
Bye.